Death by detonated fireworks shell. On January 1st, 2022, a rural celebration outside Dresden, Germany, became the scene of a gruesome incident. A group of 7 friends had gathered at an isolated farm property to celebrate the new year with drinks and illegal fireworks. Among them was a 39-year-old construction worker who had purchased black market pyrotechnics from Eastern Europe. The centerpiece of his collection was a spherical shell measuring 6 inches in diameter. This type of professional display firework is typically launched from a mortar tube and detonates hundreds of feet in the air. The shell contained approximately 4 ounces of flash powder, enough explosive force to be felt from 50 yards away. Such devices are strictly regulated in Germany and require licensing for purchase and use. His shell was not only illegal, but also lacked basic safety features like proper fusing and delay charges. By midnight, the group had consumed significant amounts of alcohol. The outdoor temperature was near freezing, and a light snow had begun to fall. Minutes after the clock struck 12, he decided to light the shell. Rather than using a proper launching, he placed it on the ground and lit the fuse with a cigarette lighter. The manufacturer's recommended safety distance for professionals handling such devices is 100 yards. He stood less than 3 feet away. The fuse, designed for professional timing systems, burned faster than expected. He had no time to retreat before ignition. When the device detonated, it did not launch upward as designed, but exploded at ground level with its full force directed outward. The blast wave struck his face and upper body first. The pressure front, moving at over 7,000 feet per second, shattered his facial bones instantly. Fragments of the shell's casing became shrapnel, penetrating his face and neck at velocities comparable to bullets. His friends, standing several yards back, were knocked to the ground, but escaped serious injury. When they recovered and approached him, they found a scene so grisly that 2 immediately vomited. The explosion had completely obliterated his facial features, leaving an unrecognizable mass of tissue. He remained alive for approximately 40 seconds, his brain still functioning despite catastrophic damage to his face and airways. He attempted to breathe through a ruined trachea, producing a gurgling sound that his friends would later describe as the most disturbing thing they had ever heard. Illegal cake bomb explosion. On January 1st, 2025, residents of Aleamanu, Hawaii gathered for their annual neighborhood New Year's celebration. The block party had grown each year, with 2025's event attracting over 100 people to the residential street. Among them were 3 women in their 30s, close friends who had attended the celebration together for several years. At 11:45 p.m., a local resident brought out what he called his special surprise. It was an illegally modified firework device known as a cake bomb, a consumer-grade multi-shot aerial repeater that had been altered to fire simultaneously rather than in sequence. The original manufacturer designed the device to launch 36 separate shots over 40 seconds. He had rewired it to trigger all charges at once. Next to this modified cake, he had positioned a stockpile of additional aerial shells and rockets. Hawaii state law prohibits consumer possession of any aerial fireworks, and the total explosive material present exceeded legal limits by over 20 times. The crowd gathered in a semicircle approximately 30 feet from the display. At 11:59 p.m., he lit the fuse and hurried back toward the crowd. The modified cake began to tip as soon as the first tubes ignited. Instead of shooting upward, the flaming projectiles fired horizontally into the nearby pile of additional fireworks. The chain reaction took less than 2 seconds to develop. Dozens of aerial shells detonated at ground level, creating a rapidly expanding cloud of fire, sparks, and shrapnel. The first woman, standing directly in the path of the main explosion, received the worst injuries. The blast wave reached them first, traveling at over 1,000 feet per second. The pressure front ruptured their eardrums instantly and caused immediate barotrauma to their lungs. Milliseconds later, burning fragments struck their bodies at high velocity. Standing directly in the path of the main explosion received the worst injuries. Metal fragments from shell casings penetrated her torso and neck, severing her carotid artery. She collapsed immediately, blood pulsing from her neck wound. The second and third women remained standing briefly, their bodies penetrated by dozens of burning fragments. The flash powder ignited their clothing, engulfing them in flames. Their screams joined the chaos of noise as bystanders scattered in panic. Within 30 seconds, all 3 women had lost consciousness from blood loss.